Welcome to G-Files History. Today is May 23rd, a day that marked a turning point for a remote mountain kingdom and the world's understanding of sovereignty, culture, and resistance. On this day in 1951, a historic and deeply controversial agreement was signed in Beijing, the 17-point agreement for the peaceful liberation of Tibet. With this document, Tibet was officially annexed by the People's Republic of China, ending its de facto independence and bringing it under Beijing's control. To the Chinese Communist Party, this was a necessary step in reuniting what they saw as a historically Chinese territory. To the Tibetan people, and to many others around the world, it marked the beginning of occupation, suppression, and cultural upheaval. For centuries, Tibet had existed as a unique theocratic state, ruled by Buddhist lamas and centered around the spiritual leadership of the Dalai Lama. Though its relationship with China varied over time, Tibet functioned with a high degree of autonomy, geographically isolated, spiritually rich, and culturally distinct. After the fall of the Qing dynasty and during the Chinese Civil War, Tibet declared itself independent in 1913, operating independently for decades, but with the rise of Mao Zedong and the Communist Party, that autonomy came under threat. The 17-point agreement promised religious freedom, local autonomy, and the protection of the Tibetan customs, all under Chinese sovereignty. But Tibetan representatives later claimed that they were forced to sign the agreement under military pressure with the threat of a full-scale invasion looming. Over time, many of the promises made in the agreement were ignored or reversed. Chinese troops moved in, administrative and social reforms were imposed, monasteries were destroyed, and Tibetan resistance was met with brutal crackdowns. The annexation of Tibet had long-term global implications. In 1959, following a failed uprising in Lhasa, the 14th Dalai Lama fled to India, where he established a Tibetan government in exile. His presence helped rally international support for Tibetan autonomy and human rights. The Tibetan diaspora grew, spreading awareness of Tibetan culture and the struggles under Chinese rule. China, meanwhile, had continued to assert its control, framing its actions as modernization and development, while critics point to ongoing cultural erasure, surveillance, and religious repression. Even today, Tibet remains one of the most tightly controlled regions in the world. The Tibetan flag is banned, expression of loyalty to the Dalai Lama is punishable offense, and foreign journalists and observers are heavily restricted. On this day, a nation was swallowed, a culture was shaken, and a movement was born. The world still grapples with the questions raised by that day. What is sovereignty? What is freedom? And can a culture survive when its homeland is no longer its own? That's May 23rd, one day, a world of history.